Hey Canucks fans, yet another week has gone by without new contracts for Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes. I'm Canuck Clay. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. This is my Canucks take all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Monday, September 13th. If you're new, this is what you should do. Hit the subscribe button now for daily Canucks insight that's positive, timely, and trustworthy. And as always, this vlog is brought to you by Perform and Transform, personal training and weight loss. You can sign up now. The link's in the description for a free 7-day trial. Thanks to everyone who joined me for my live stream last night. Going twice a week now, Sunday and Wednesday. Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday. So last night was Sunday. Next one will be on Wednesday night at 10 p.m. on my YouTube channel. Okay, it's Monday. That means I look ahead to the rest of the week and I think about what's happening in the Canucks world and Canucks land. And obviously, the big story, the story that's not going to go away until these contracts are signed, are Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes, two restricted free agents, both of them still not signed to the club as of today, September the 13th. Now, a lot of people in my live stream last night or my Ask Me Anything are asking me, are you worried? And I keep saying, well, Horvat wasn't signed until September 8th. We've kind of passed that. Brock Besser wasn't signed until September 16th. And right now we're only at September 13th. Then people say, yeah, but it wasn't two at the same time. And technically it wasn't two franchise players, although two very important players. I agree with all of that. Am I worried? No. Am I getting concerned? Just a little bit. But I think I'll be more concerned admittedly if we get to the end of this week and there's no movement, or at least there's no talk of movement with these two contracts. Today, I want to talk about Elias Pettersson. And last week, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I recorded a vlog talking about their contract situations. And I suggested that Hughes, if he goes long-term, could get 8 years, $7.5 to $8 million, say $8 million. And then Petey could then sign for 3 years, bridge deal, $7.5 to $8 million. Combined total of $16 million. The Canucks do have that amount of cap space once you factor in Michael Furlan's long-term injury reserve, his $3.5 million. As I thought about it more, I still think those numbers are fair. I want to talk about what Pettersson might think he's worth in a second. I think if you had to pick one, you want to get the PD one done first, because once you have the Pettersson one done, A, you know what you have left for Hughes, and B, there's less chance of an offer sheet. I still think that there's a very slim chance that that Pettersson will sign an offer sheet with another team. But imagine if you go Quinn Hughes first, and then everyone knows you only have $8 million left, for instance, for Pettersson, then why not come in with a $9 or $10 million offer sheet? Whereas if you do Pettersson first, then you'll less chance of an offer sheet, and you know what you have for Quinn Hughes. So let's talk about Petey. I said 3 years, $7.5 to $8 million, and I'll talk about why I came up with that amount. But there was talk, and I saw a couple of people on Twitter. It wasn't rampant, but we talked about this in my live stream too, and in my Zoom members chat, that there's a rumor floating out there. I don't know if it's necessarily Petey holding out for $10 million, but there's a lot of talk out there that Petey might think he's worth $10 million, and whether that's coming from him, coming from his agent, or from a story that Daniel Wagner of Vancouver's Awesome wrote 2 weeks ago. I thought it was more recent, but it was actually 2 weeks old now. Maybe that's fueling a little bit. I saw a few people on Twitter talking about it. Not a lot, but a few people talking about it. Some saying there's no way he's worth $10 million a season, and he shouldn't think that. Others are saying you should sign him for whatever, considering that he's like a player that we've never had, at least not since maybe Pavel Bure. So let's talk about this. Daniel Wagner, Vancouver's Awesome, 2 weeks ago, after Andrei Svechnikov signed that new contract with the Carolina Hurricanes for 8 years, $7.75. A lot of people were saying, well, is this kind of set the bar for Pettersson? Not at 8 years. Pettersson will make way more over 8 years, not enough, way more than the Canucks can afford right now. So that 7.75 is a pipe dream. That's more like what we hope that he'll take over 3 years. 8 years, you're looking at $9.5, $10 million. But I think the issue that people have is PD going to want more than $8 million for a bridge deal? When you look at Pettersson, and this is what Daniel Wagner did, he compared, and I think this is where this $10 million number comes from. He compared Elias Pettersson to Jack Eichel, the disgruntled Buffalo Sabres forward. And he found that in their 20-year-old season, they had the exact same points per game, 0.93 points per game in their 20-year-old season. In the 21-year-old season, basically a wash again. Eichel was 0.96 points per game. Pettersson was 0.97 points per game. So if you're basically saying that they were equal, 0.93 in the 20-year-old season, 0.96 or 0.97 in the 21-year-old season, then Eichel got an 8-year deal averaging $10 million a year. So equal points per game. Then you could see Petey wanting $10 million over 8 years because exact same numbers. You could argue Buffalo had a weaker team, but still, you're talking about the same amount of numbers. When you actually look at the actual percentage of the salary cap that Eichel's contract took at the time, and then you kind of extrapolate it, it winds up to about $10.86 million a year. So let's work with $10 million a year. And then you look at Mitch Marner, another player that Petey's being compared to. Marner has been a little bit better, had a better contract year than Petey. Remember, Petey only played 26 of the 56 games last season. I'll get to that in a second. But Marner is making $10.9 million. So Eichel's making 10. Marner's making 10.9. Again, that Marner's contract was 6 years, not 3, but 6 years. So Eichel was 8 years at 10. Marner was 6 years at 10.9. So you can see where a longer deal for Petey could get a lot more expensive. So let's talk about bridge deals, comparables. Everyone's talking about Matthew Barzal, 3 years, $7 million a year. That's fine. And then, I've talked about Braden Point, 3 years, 6.75 when Braden Point signed his second one. But then when you compare Petey to other RFAs and his points per game, he's only behind in his first 3 years McDavid, Matthews, and Marner. And he's not going to make McDavid money, $12 million. He's not going to make Matthews money, 11.6. But I said Marner makes 10.9. But he's ahead of Rantanen, who made 9.25 for 6. He's ahead of Matthew Barzal. I said 3 years at $7 million. He was ahead of Braden Point at 3 at 6.75. Ahead of Gaudreau, who's 6 at 6.75. And then ahead of Brock, we know he's at 5.9 average. And then you have Jack Eichel, 8 years at $10 million. So from a short-term perspective, Pettersson probably could argue that he should be making more than Barzal at 7. Who made $7 million over 3 years. So then what are you looking at then? Well, for a bridge deal, I still don't think you can go more than $8 million for Petey, and that it's still $1 million more than Barzal makes. And for a bridge deal, I think that's fair. Petey shouldn't expect more than that. I'm not saying that he is expecting more than that, but I guess the one thing that people are saying, yes, he's had a phenomenal first 3 years, winning the Calder Trophy in 18-19, following up with a pretty good season 19-20, and then unfortunately last year he played fewer than half the games. So some people are worried about his durability. The wrist injury that set him back, he's had, concussion, I think, or at least when he was in his rookie season, taken out behind the net by Matheson. And then he got tangled up with Kotkaniemi at the end of his rookie season. So there's been a bit of worry about his durability. We're not saying he's not tough. We're not saying that he's looking to get hurt. Obviously, who would say that? But the proof is in the pudding that in Pettersson's 3 years, he has not played close to the total amount of games that he could play. And I'm just pulling it up right now just so we're talking about the right numbers. In his rookie year, which was a full 82-game season, Petey played 71 of the games, so not bad. Then the year after, it was good. He played 68 of the 69 games, which is fine. But then last year, he only played 26 of the 56. So rookies, 71 out of 82 is actually not bad. So really, it was only last year. So I don't buy the argument, for instance, that he's injury prone, even though he had those 2 dust ups in his rookie season. He only missed 11 games, and he played all but 1 of the 69 games last season. 2 seasons ago. And last season, it was tough. It was a tough injury. It looked innocent enough, but it was a tough injury for him. So throw it all together. His questions about his durability, not from me, but I've heard people talk about it. Long-term versus short-term, the offer sheet scenario, which I still think is slim. The fact, though, that Quinn Hughes could go long, Petey could go short. Maybe Petey wants to bank on himself to come back after an injury-riddled season last season. What does it come out to? What is PD worth, as my thumbnail says? What is PD worth? Well, he's the best player on our team, so he's worth a lot. If he gets paid $7.5 to $8 million, that's a lot. That's saying a lot. That's way more than anyone else. Besser, he's making 7.5 on the last year, but it averaged out to 5.9. And then you still have Myers at 6. So PD by far would be the highest paid player on the team, unless, of course, Hughes signs his long-term one. Hughes isn't going to get $8 million over 3 years, but he could get $8 million over 8 years, 7 or 8 years. So what's PD worth? I think I'm still going to stick to it. I think he's worth between $7.5 and $8 million over 3 years. You can talk about worth 9.5, 10, 10.5 million over long term, but he's not going to sign that. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. But PD probably thinks that he's worth that much money. I have no problem with him thinking that. I like his swagger, his attitude. I don't think he's cocky. He's just uber confident, which is fine. And we need that type of player here in Vancouver. We just don't need that type of money right now because we can't afford it. So all to say, my stance hasn't changed, but I want to acknowledge the fact that at least people over the weekend on Twitter, just a few people were talking about the fact that is PD wrong if he values himself at $10 million? It's all about the context. I guess that's my whole point is long-term, yes. Long-term contract, he is worth $10.5 million. But short-term, you can't do that. You simply can't do that. And he's got to realize that for this market, 7.5 or 8 makes sense given the comparables and given the Canucks salary cap situation. I'm not saying this is happening, but you would hate for PD to be asking for 8.5 or 9 or 9.5 on a short-term contract. I think that's a little bit unrealistic, but you never know. There's still Kaprizov, the rookie of the year, waiting to sign a new contract. There's still Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa. So who knows which way this market is going to go. I guess that's another still complicating factor. So nothing is easy. That's why this is taking so long, even though we've known about these contracts for about a year expiring. So now we're down on the wire. It's September 13th. Training camp opens in 10 days on the 23rd. We'll see what happens in the days to come. So Canucks fans, let me know in the comments below, what is PD's worth to you? I just realized I've been talking for 12.5 minutes. I don't think I've said anything new, but I kind of wanted to articulate the case for short-term 7.5 to 8 and that value, the case for a long-term 9.5 or 10, which the Canucks simply can't afford right now. So how valuable is PD to you? And drop your latest contract predictions for not only Elias Pettersson, but for Quinn Hughes as well. Shout out to my hero members, nucksfan number 29, Justin Credible, Lucas Gates, and Andrew Chang, the newest hero member. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks to all 4 of you. And to my Hall of Fame members, Jens95, Sim Alexander, Chris Seifert, Adam Broomfield, and Shannon Hollingworth. Thanks for your support, and thanks to the support of all members of all levels. You are listed in my video descriptions. If you want to become a member of the CCC Crew, press the join button underneath this or any of my videos, or on the memberships tab on my YouTube channel. Subscribe if you like to, like this video if you like to, become a member of this channel if you like to, and leave a comment down below if you'd like to. What are your new and updated contract predictions for Pettersson and Hughes? Finally, Canucks After Dark Season 2 starts tonight. Join Parker and me tonight at 10 p.m. on YouTube. Okay, friends, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. Have a great day. God bless, and go Canucks go.